Jen friends, I'm Major Gaurav Arya and you're watching the Chanakya dialogue.
They have
English.
burnt France to the ground. They burned the library, the main library there. And this is what invading forces do. They burn library.
But if you ask a Bengali, an Indian Bengali, because we don't know, but if you ask an Indian Bengali, they'll just hear and they'll say it's Bangladeshi. Jen friends, I'm Major Gaurav Arya and you're watching the Chanakya Dialogues English. Like this video, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to press the bell icon. Nahel, a 17-year-old young man, was shot dead in France by a policeman. You're aware of what is happening in France, and this policeman said that I did not intend to shoot him to kill. I intended to shoot him to stop him, and I wanted to shoot him in the foot. Anyway, the policeman has been arrested, and there is an inquiry going on against him. As I mentioned yesterday, Nahel's mother has come out with a statement, a very mature statement, that I don't blame the entire police force. I blame one policeman who killed my son. And I think this is a wonderful message of peace and solidarity that Nahel's mother gave. But I don't think that the people who are doing this subscribe to the statement at all. Nahel's death has caused widespread destruction in France. And I will tell you about the parallels in India and stuff like that, but I just wanted to also tell you that, you see, more than, I think, 2,000 cars have been burnt, and so many people have been injured, and shops have been looted. And this is continuing, this is spreading to other parts of Europe. I was invited to the UK in 2017 to give a talk at the UK Parliament. And after coming back from UK, where I stayed for 5 or 6 days, I came back and I wrote an article which was published in the Sunday Guardian called The Caliph's London and all that. And I said that the refugees who are coming in, right, they are taking advantage of white guilt and they're causing chaos. And I've been saying this for a very long time. I've tried to put it in a socio-political and religious perspective. A lot of people have called me communal, but this is not what this is about. What people call me or don't call me is not something that I tend to worry about too much. But I will tell you, in 2015, in response to France's bombing, they're part of the anti-terror strikes. France was attacked, and I think 137 odd Frenchmen were killed in terror attacks in Paris and its suburbs. And these attacks were carried out by French and Belgian people, people who had come as immigrants and settled down. And all of them were born in France. So they could have been from Morocco or Sudan or some other country, an Islamic country, but they were born in France, right? And they did not consider the fact that they were killing Frenchmen, their own brothers and sisters. They were inspired by the Islamic State, and they randomly killed 130 people, more than 400 were injured, and that's what they did. This is in 2015. And now France is again hit by a wave of protests, and these are not peaceful protests. These are people harming the French Republic. Europe is confused. And everybody, even on the Indian screen, what will happen is, on the television screen, you'll have a debate. And I'm not saying that all of these debates are sensible, but when you have a normal debate with people, there is always one person who will say that, oh, you're saying this because you're communal. And as soon as you use the word communal in India, the other guy will just take a step back because he does not want to be called a communal, and the other party knows it. And the people who do it, the maximum, are these so-called left liberals. They use this beautifully, and so beautifully. They will just say, you're a communal. Or a radical Islamist preacher may be sitting there, he'll say, you're communal. This is Islamophobia. And suddenly the other guy will get scared because, you move around in society, you sit with people, and you don't want to be publicly branded as communal, and you get scared and you take a step back. In Europe, it's the other way around. You're called racist. They'll say, you're racist. And once they say that you're racist,
then you're done. Your social profile goes down in the sense that a lot of your friends start identifying you as a racist and they want to maintain a distance from you. And nobody wants that. So these guys will hit you, especially the left liberal community, the left liberals, They know where to hit you. They're very smart. They're college professors. They are spokesperson for certain political parties. They are people who are, intellectually more. I would say grown, if that is the word you can use, or more evolved, if I can use that word. And these people will always say that, you're communal. Now, at the cost of sounding communal, let me tell you, why do these people come to Europe in the first place? Why should they come to Europe? Because they want a better life, right? And most of them, I'm not saying all of them, because people from all religions and all nationalities come to Europe. There are Indians there, there are Hindus there, there are Indian Hindus, Indian Muslims, Indian Sikhs, Indian Christians. And I would like to make a distinction here. In Europe, in England and France, have you ever heard, since most of these people come from predominantly Muslim countries, the people who are writing in France right now, have you ever seen an Indian Muslim writing there? Think about it. Have you ever seen an Indian Muslim involved in a terror attack in Europe? No. I'm trying to make a difference here. And I'm trying to make a point. When I say I'm trying to make a difference, I'm trying to make a difference between two sets of people. Right? You'll not have Muslims from, let's say Malaysia. There are radicals there. There are radicals in Indonesia. But you will generally hear people from Morocco, people from Syria, and other people who are creating chaos in Europe. You don't see Indians doing that. Indians, be they Hindus or Muslims or Sikhs and Christians, they live peacefully, they integrate in society, and they do their jobs. Not people from these countries. And they're burning Europe down. And, Angela Merkel is one of the main culprits because she felt benevolent. She opened the gates of Germany. And look what that did to Germany. It's happening in Belgium, it'll happen in Switzerland, it'll happen in France, it's happening there. It's happening in so many countries. And there is no way you can stop this because you let them in. I tweeted this yesterday and I got a lot of DMs, direct messages saying that, Major, no, this is not fair and we don't expect an army officer to talk like that and all that. Can you please spare me your nonsense? Can you please spare me your left liberal nonsense? I don't want to use a stronger word here on this platform because families watch this. Can you stop your nonsense? They have burnt France to the ground. They burned the library, the main library there. And this is what invading forces do. They burn libraries. This is what the Mongols did when they entered Baghdad. Baghdad had one of the finest libraries in the world. And that is what the Mongols did first. They killed the Sultan and then they burned the library. This is what Bakhtiyar Khilji did in Nalanda. He burnt the library there. This is what invaders do. Because the library is the suppository of culture and knowledge, of your ethics, of your forefathers. That is what a library is. And when you burn a library, you hit at the very soul of a civilization. The Mongols knew why they burned that library. They were very clear. When the Mongol forces invaded Baghdad, and Baghdad was supposed to be the pinnacle of Islamic culture. When they ransacked Baghdad, they knew exactly what they were doing. It did not happen by mistake, the burning of the Baghdad library. And similarly, Bakhtiyar Khilji, when he came to Nalanda, when he burned the library, he knew exactly what he was doing. Similarly, these people who are writing in France, they know exactly what they're hitting at the heart of French culture. They're hitting at the heart of French civilization. And biting the hand that is fed it. I tell Europe, refugees should be welcome in every country, but there should be a very strict process of whom you want to take and whom you do not want to take. America is absolutely clear about it. America is absolutely clear. America has its own set of problems and sometimes the Americans tend to go overboard, but you will not see such things happening from people from outside. Yeah, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and I don't know whatever that group is called, that extreme left wing group, but the Americans are pretty strict about it. hit down hard. They clamp down very hard when the Americans want to. But Europe has gone soft. And I think it's a lot to do with white guilt. Because the colonization that you did in Europe. Now, see, what is happening is that when the Moroccans, they lose a football match, they burn the city to the ground in Europe. When they win a football match, they're celebrating by burning the city to the ground. This is the culture that they get from Syria, from Yemen, from Morocco, from other places. Because they were born in, the environment, or born in an environment of civil war, where various warlords were various governments were trying to enforce the Sharia law. So they ran away from Sharia law, and then they started missing home. And when they started missing home in France, they wanted to implement Sharia law in France. They still do. They managed to do it in UK, by the way, across the English Channel. They have Sharia courts in UK. And the people who have implemented Sharia courts in UK are exactly the same people who ran away from Sharia courts in their own country. Why did you come to UK? Why should you come? If you think that Sharia is the way to go, right? Why did you leave your country? You should have been happy there. You left because you were miserable. You left because you were miserable. A country gave you shelter. It gave you respect. It gave you citizenship. It gave you free housing. It gave you food. It gave you medicine. It gave you all the rights that their own citizens had. And how did you repay? You repaid by creating Sharia zones. And you created the same mess from where you originally came. I mean, this is beyond fantastic. I mean, what do I say? What does one say? And here is a lesson for India in this. You let in the Rohingyas. I'm telling you, you let in the Rohingyas. They're going to create a France right here in New Delhi, and there is nothing that you'll be able to do about it. These Rohingyas will come and they'll do it. Right? And all these political parties who claim to weep tears for the Rohingyas, take a look at France, take a look at Belgium, take a look at UK, and please have mercy on India. India is bigger than your vote bank. India is bigger than your MP and MLA tickets and your seats in parliament or the assemblies where you sit. India is bigger than that. If somebody wants to become a citizen of India, irrespective of his religion or her religion, there is a way to do it. You're welcome to India. Use the legal route. There is a legal route. Use that. Fill up the papers. It will take time. Welcome to India. Come as a citizen. But don't force yourself in and then try to change our culture and superimpose yours. And this is going to happen in India, I'm telling you. And today, I have also been extremely this thing. I always try to, give various justifications. But today, if somebody wants to call me communal, just go ahead, yeah. I don't care. I don't care because I see this happening in India. I remember once I spoke about these Rohingyas going all the way and settling down in Bangalore. And there was this lady who started hyperventilating on Facebook. I forget her name. And she started screaming and ranting on Facebook that, how can you do it? And you're communal and this. And she's a lady. Otherwise, I would have told her to shut up. And would have told her that, ma'am, you don't know any better. You have no idea. Today, Rohingyas have moved all the way and settled down in J&K. Who told them how to get to J&K? And J&K is so far away from West Bengal. West Bengal is in the east. J&K is up there in the north. How do they go like this? How do they reach all the way there? This is strategic settling down of refugees. This problem happened even in 1971. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just tell you. I have repeated this time and again, and many people may have forgotten. At the cost of repetition, allow me to tell you again. The 1971 war with Pakistan, in which East Pakistan became Bangladesh, yeah. From India's side, the trigger was, of course, Operation Changes Khan, in which Pakistani Air Force launched a series of airstrikes against India. That was on the 2nd of December. But even before that, and a year before that, the trigger was lakhs upon lakhs, some say even crores, of refugees from East Pakistan entering India. So they came and settled down in West Bengal, in Tripura, XYZ. And our fragile economy could not look after them. And that was one of the triggers. One of the triggers, not the trigger, but one of the maybe 5 or 10 triggers. But one of the top 2-3 triggers was, and Srimati Indira Gandhi, a former Prime Minister, is on record in an interview to BBC. She said that, this is a problem for us. You can look up her interview. Indira Gandhi, BBC, 1971 what? Just go on YouTube and look it up. And you'll find out that she's saying this. So what I'm trying to tell you is that we need to understand that this will not stop. Today it is Europe, tomorrow it's going to be India. Even in Noida, where I stay, I do not know how many Rohingyas and how many Bangladeshis are here, because if you ask anybody, they say we are from Malda. Malda is a place in West Bengal. Everybody says they are from Malda. Everybody says they're from Malda. But if you ask a Bengali, an Indian Bengali, because we don't know, but if you ask an Indian Bengali, they'll just hear and they'll say it's Bangladeshi. So how do you know he's speaking Bengali, you're speaking Bengali? And only a Bengali, an Indian Bengali will tell you that their Bengali is different and our Bengali is different. And they can recognize and they can identify immediately. And somebody said that they say Malda because the language in Malda is very close to what the Bangladeshis speak. I don't know. I could be totally wrong. But many of my Bengali friends have told me that if they see a Bangladeshi speaking Bengali, they can immediately make out that this person is a Bangladeshi. Again, I'm saying if any Bangladeshi wants Indian citizenship, fill up the papers and wait. And the government will, you can't just barge into a country and then start superimposing your culture. This leads to clashes. In Europe, it has led to the rise of the right wing. And some are so radically right wing that they're almost fascist. Some of the people are neo-Nazis there. And they're slowly and slowly clawing back into power. What do you think the response in India will be like? There is danger from every side, and I want at least the politicians to wake up to this threat of mass illegal migration into India. It might be helping the fortunes of some political parties. But the day is not far, and I say this with all due respect to my Chief Minister, Yogi Adityanath ji, Maharaj, the day is not far when you will have your first Bangladeshi MLA from Noida. 5-10 years, you'll have your first Bangladeshi MLA from Noida, and there is nothing you can do about it because these guys are everywhere. These guys are everywhere, and they've infiltrated homes, they've infiltrated offices, they're everywhere. The lower level of jobs have all been taken by them. Small businesses, household helps, everybody, and everybody's from Malda. So this is something that we need to take a look at, and everybody, irrespective of religion, I'm saying this again and again, on record, everybody, irrespective of religion, is welcome to India. We will welcome you, but please come through the legal route. That's the only thing that I'm saying. Don't break the law. Be law-abiding, because once you break the law and come into India, when the other party in response to you breaks the law, then you can't say that you are such and such. Because the answer to law breaking will be more law breaking by somebody else. And that is how societies spin out of control and are in a perpetual state of turmoil. That's all I wanted to say. And now, time for Ask Major. Now, Sher says, Jain sir, America is always worried about nuclear weapons not getting into the wrong hands. What if these radicalized immigrants gain power in a country that has nuclear weapons? Also, what can India do if such a thing becomes a possibility? Jai Hind, Sher, actually, I don't know whether this is possible in Europe or not. In India, it's not possible. And how India will react to this, India will look after its own interests. And I don't think Europe will allow it. Because, you see, a lot of people get confused. And a lot of these illegal immigrants, they get confused with, Europeans being softies and left liberals. Actually, I think the word is overcompensate. And I think Europe is trying to overcompensate because Europe has had a very, very black past. And Europe is a continent that has seen more violence than any other continent. It is Europe that produced Adolf Hitler. It is Europe that launched the Crusades. It is Europe where the First World War and the Second World War were largely fought. I'm not saying they were fought only in Europe. They were fought in Africa. They were fought in Asia. The Second World War, And the First World War was also fought outside of Europe, also in certain places, but mainly the battleground was Europe. And the kind of bloodshed that Europeans have done, very recent, as recent as 75, 80 years back, the kind of blood, millions and millions upon millions killed. I mean, we have not seen anything like that in the past 200 years, or even 500 years, the kind of bloodletting that Europe has done. And I'm afraid that today Europe is there is always a case of overcompensation. Today, Europe, there is white guilt. Oh, we were part of the colonial experience and it's wrong, and oh, we have done this. So just keep quiet, let them come. We don't want to be called racists. Okay? White guilt. That is what is keeping Europe in check today. But there are parties that are coming to power, the extreme right that is coming to power, and they're equally dangerous. And there are people who have, who look upon Adolf Hitler as their ideal. There are many parties. I'm not saying they have come to power, but there are many fringe elements and they're growing powerful. And every time something like this happens in Europe, what is this? What is the result? The result is not what you're thinking, that these illegal immigrants, this highly radicalized youth will take care of or sort of grab nuclear weapons. That is not the danger. That will never happen. The danger is that tomorrow a fringe party will stand in elections and say that this guy who's the president of France is not capable and you need steel. And we have heard that story before in Europe. We have heard it so many times. You need men of iron who can give you safety and who can give you true family values. Right? Go and read about the Treaty of Versailles. When a people are subjugated to such an extent that they feel humiliated, when they feel cheated, it gives an opportunity for evil like Adolf Hitler to take root. Evil like Adolf Hitler was perhaps the most evil human being ever in the history of the earth. There was nobody more evil than Adolf Hitler. And Adolf Hitler was an immensely popular German leader. And why? Because of the humiliations of the Treaty of Versailles. That was one of the key reasons, not the entire reason, but one of the key reasons was the Treaty of Versailles. Please read about it. And this is exactly what is happening in Europe. You're humiliating the French people again and again and again and again. And in the next election, you'll see, I'm predicting this today, all over Europe, the more you do this, the more you'll see the rise of the fascists in Europe. They're not dead. They were simply underground for decades. They're still there. They have their clubs, they have their meetings, they have their Nazi death head marches, they have their torchlight marches, they have everything. And they will come to power and Europe will be unsettled again, because when these people start acting on the migrants, it's going to be pure bloodshed. Today you may disagree with him or not, but the French president is a pretty sensible guy. But what happens when you start burning stuff? The French people say that, okay, this guy, this French President Macron, I don't think he's good enough to look after us here. I don't think he can assure us of safety. I had 2 cars and they burnt my cars, and I had a store in Paris or some other place and they looted my store, they burnt my store and all. And I was absolutely, I lost everything, my life savings and all that. So there is bound to be bitterness in the people. And in that bitterness, it's going to be Treaty of Versailles 2.0. They'll vote some lunatic to power. And that lunatic will start off from one end and he'll say, okay, my single agenda is immigration and immigrants. And then you're going to have crackdowns. And once you start having those kind of Nazi crackdowns at night, there is no end to it. So I would request everybody to just calm the hell down. Pardon my language, forgive me, but calm the hell down. Don't do this, because Europe has had a very, very, very dangerous past. It's had a very dangerous past, and these Europeans, you might look upon them as left liberal softies. These guys are the most dangerous guys on earth, the Europeans. And if they start going back to 75, 80 years back, you're going to see a lot of bloodshed. All right, and the next question is Gas Heads India. My name is Anubhav from West Bengal. My question is, To advance our military vehicles and small arms rapidly, the government is giving a lot of support, but this information are deeply buried in the internet. Why aren't they discussed or encouraged? Jai Hind, Anubhav. No, this is not hidden anywhere. This is very much in the open, and it's openly discussed, and it's all in the media. And there are things that are not to be discussed. They will never be discussed even in the media. And whatever is for public consumption, it is there. So nothing is hidden from you. And making of rifles, you know where the AK-203 plant is coming up. You know which company in Bangalore is making sniper rifles. You know everything. So it's nothing is hidden from you or me. It's a democracy, but what is hidden is truly hidden, and then you and I will never come to know about it. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, press like, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram, Bharat Mata Ki Jai.